Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We're tackling something pretty exciting today, the power of problem posing. I know you listeners out there are eager to learn about what the last 30 years of research has revealed on this topic.
It's really fascinating stuff.
So we're diving into a chapter, right? That takes a fresh look at a really influential paper by Ed Silver published back in 1994.
Yeah, on mathematical problem posing.
I've heard of that one.
I mean, this paper, it's been cited over 7,000 times.
Wow. 7,000. That's got to be some kind of record. So it really got people thinking about math in a whole new way, I guess.
It really did. Silver, in his paper, he outlined 6 key themes that explore how problem posing connects to, well, just about everything in math, from creativity to how students actually learn.
So it's way more than just like coming up with tricky word problems to like stump your friends, right?
Way more. Researchers look at problem posing through these 3 main lenses.
Lenses. Okay.
First, it's a cognitive activity, thinking about how our brains actually work when we try to come up with a problem. And then second, it can be this really powerful teaching tool. A way to get students more actively involved in learning math.
Right.
And then finally, it kind of acts like a window into student understanding.
A window, how so?
The types of problems they create, they can actually tell us a lot about how they're making sense of math concepts, how they're thinking about things.
Oh, that's cool. I bet these lenses, they overlap in some interesting ways too.
They do, yeah. What's really fascinating is how interconnected these perspectives are.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Okay, so imagine a teacher who's trying to help students understand fractions, a classic math topic, right?
Right, fractions.
So by carefully designing a problem-posing task,
Okay.
maybe something about, I don't know, dividing up a pizza or something like that.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, so they can actually tap into students' cognitive processes and gain insights into their understanding of fractions,
Oh.
all while using problem posing as a teaching tool.
It's like a multi-purpose tool.
Exactly.
So it's like, instead of just focusing on solving problems that someone else has made, right? What if students became the problem creators?
Exactly. And that's where the research on problem posing as a cognitive activity, it gets really interesting because studies have shown that even students who are like fantastic at solving math problems,
Okay.
they often struggle to come up with their own.
Really?
Yeah, because it turns out that generating problems, it requires a whole different set of cognitive skills,
It's like, instead of just playing an instrument, you're composing the music.
It is. It's a totally different way of thinking.
That's a great analogy. So how do researchers study this cognitive process then? Do they just like give kids a blank piece of paper and say, go make a problem?
Well, sometimes it's not that far off, actually, but they also get creative, like they might ask students to draw a picture that represents a math problem, or to build something with blocks that shows a mathematical concept.
I see.
Yeah, so by watching how students approach these tasks, they can learn a lot about how kids conceptualize and frame problems.
It's like peeking behind the curtain of their brains.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. So what have they discovered about, like, what makes some kids better at posing problems than others?
That's a question researchers are still working on, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But one thing they found is that good problem posers, they tend to be more flexible in their thinking. They can see multiple perspectives.
They're not so rigid.
Yeah, they can make connections between different ideas and break down these complex concepts into smaller, more like manageable chunks.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about like being good at math in the traditional sense,
It's more about a mindset, a willingness to play with ideas, try different things.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so exciting, It challenges how we traditionally think about what it means to be good at math.
I like that. So let's talk about actually doing this, encouraging kids to become problem posers.
Oh.
What makes a good problem posing task?
That's the big question, isn't it? Researchers have been looking at this for years.
Yeah.
And one important distinction they make is between free problem posing tasks, which are super open-ended,
Okay.
and then structured tasks, which give a bit more guidance,
Okay, so what's an example of each?
So a free one might be, come up with a problem using these numbers, 3, 7, and 12.
Okay, pretty open-ended.
Very open-ended.
Yeah.
But a structured task might be, imagine you're opening a lemonade stand, write a word problem about your profits.
Oh, I see. It gives them a scenario to work with.
Exactly. And even small details, like including specific numbers, research shows that can actually lead to more complex problems.
Really? So even those little tweaks can make a big
It's
difference.
amazing, yeah.
Sounds like designing these tasks, it's a bit of an art form, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Finding that balance between giving enough structure but still leaving room for creativity.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Researchers are still trying to figure out exactly what makes a problem-posing task truly engaging, what really works.
Right, right.
But one thing they keep finding is that using real-world contexts, that can make a huge difference.
Makes sense. So it's about connecting math to things kids actually experience, you know?
Exactly. Like instead of just working with abstract numbers and symbols,
Right.
we should be encouraging them to see the math in the grocery store, on the playground, all around them.
That's awesome. And it's not just like a nice idea, there's actual research to back that up.
Yeah. There was this one study where they found that kids who were shown a picture, a real-world situation,
Okay.
they were way better at posing problems than those who just got abstract info.
Wow. So visuals can really spark their imagination.
They can. It helps them see the math in everyday life.
I'm starting to see how problem posing can really change how we think about math, you know? It's not just about the teaching, it's about how students see and experience the whole subject.
That's what we're exploring in this deep dive. There's so much to learn.
This is great. I'm hooked. Let's dive into those 6 themes of Silver's that we talked about. Those really seem like the foundation of everything.
Definitely, we're just getting started. So we're back and ready to keep exploring this world of mathematical problem posing.
I'm ready. Those 6 themes you mentioned, I'm really curious to hear more about those.
Yeah, let's dig into them.
They sound really important.
They are. Ed Silver, he really laid the groundwork for how we think about this whole idea of problem posing.
He seems like a bit of a pioneer in this field.
He was. And these themes, they really connect back to those 3 lenses we were talking about before.
The cognitive activity, the teaching tool, and the window into student understanding.
Exactly. For example, Silver's first theme, he argued that problem posing, it's not just about plugging numbers into formulas or anything like that.
Way.
It's a key feature of creativity and exceptional mathematical ability.
Whoa, really? So you're saying that being good at math isn't just about finding the right answer? It's about using your imagination to, come up with new questions.
Yeah, and exploring those possibilities, seeing where they lead you.
So mathematicians are kind of like artists then.
In a way, yeah. They're using their creativity to push the boundaries of what we know about math.
So it's not just about memorizing formulas and rules, it's about thinking outside the box.
Exactly.
I love that. It makes math seem so much more accessible and interesting, you know?
It does.
Not every kid is going to be a math whiz, but everyone can be creative in their own way.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about problem posing.
It gives everyone a chance to shine, in a way.
Yeah. It lets students use their own unique strengths, even if they haven't always felt confident in math class.
Right. And speaking of those students who might not always feel successful in math,
Yeah.
what about those ideas of Silver's on problem posing as, inquiry-based learning?
Oh, yeah. Silver, he was all about inquiry-based learning.
What does that mean exactly?
Basically, instead of just sitting there and listening to the teacher, passively taking in information,
Uh-huh.
students should be actively involved in figuring things out for themselves.
Oh, I like that. So it's like giving students more control over what they're learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine a classroom where instead of just listening to a lecture,
Yeah.
students are encouraged to ask their own questions, make their own guesses about how things work, and even challenge the teacher's ideas.
It sounds a lot more exciting than the way I learned math.
Right?
I bet students would be way more engaged if they felt like they had a real voice, you know?
Absolutely. And you know what's really interesting?
What's that?
Silver thought that problem posing
Yeah.
is actually really beneficial for students who maybe don't have access to the best math teachers or resources.
Because it's more about the thinking process than anything else.
Right. You don't need fancy textbooks or computers or anything like that.
It kind of levels the playing field a
It
bit.
does. It gives all students the chance to develop their math skills, regardless of their background.
I like that. It's like a more equitable approach to learning.
And the research actually backs this up.
It does.
Yeah, there have been studies showing that problem posing can be really effective for engaging students from all different backgrounds and with all kinds of learning styles.
So it can help those students who might not have seen themselves as math people before.
Exactly. It can boost their confidence and give them a sense of ownership over their learning.
I love that. So we're seeing that problem posing. It's not just some fun little activity.
Yeah,
It has the potential to really transform the way kids think about math.
it really does.
And we're just getting started.
We are. We still have 4 more of Silver's themes to explore.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's hear them. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into problem posing. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has, and we've still got 4 more of Ed Silver's themes to explore.
Right, we can't leave those out. They show just how powerful problem posing can be.
And not just as a teaching tool, but as, like, a core part of mathematical thinking itself.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's next?
So Silver's third theme, this one focuses on how important problem posing is to mathematics as a whole, to the entire discipline.
So it's not just something we do in the classroom, it's what real mathematicians do too.
Exactly. He argued that problem posing, it's not just a teaching strategy, it's like at the very heart of what mathematicians actually do.
So they're not just solving problems that other people have come up with.
Right. They're constantly coming up with their own new questions, their own challenges.
That's interesting. So how does that work?
Think of mathematicians like explorers, charting unknown territory.
Okay, I like that analogy.
They're always pushing the boundaries of what we know by asking what if,
Uh-huh.
and then, trying to find the answers.
I see. So it's about that curiosity, that drive to discover new things.
Exactly. And Silver believed that we should be encouraging that same kind of thinking in our students.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just about finding the right answer. It's about asking the right question.
Exactly. It's about fostering that sense of wonder and exploration.
So it's like, instead of seeing math as this set of rules that's already been figured out, it's more like this dynamic, ever-evolving field.
Right. There's always more to discover.
Always something new to learn. Okay, so what about Silver's fourth theme?
That one focuses on problem posing as a way to, well, actually improve students' problem-solving skills.
Oh, so it's not just about coming up with problems, it's about getting better at solving them too.
Yeah. He believed that when students create their own problems, they develop this deeper understanding of mathematical concepts.
Okay.
And they become more flexible problem solvers overall.
I see. So it's like by working on both sides of the equation, so to speak,
Yeah, like a mental workout for their math brains.
it strengthens those problem-solving muscles. And is there research to support this idea?
There is, yeah. Studies have actually found a pretty strong link between problem posing and problem solving skills.
Wow, really? So
Yeah.
the two go hand in hand.
They do. It seems like the process of coming up with their own problems, it helps kids internalize those math concepts in a way that just solving pre-made problems doesn't.
It's like they're not just following instructions, they're really thinking for themselves.
Right. They're making those connections, and that makes a big difference.
Okay, that's really interesting. It's like problem posing shouldn't be seen as this extra thing, or something that only the really advanced students do.
Exactly.
It's a fundamental skill that can benefit all learners at any level.
I completely agree. And this actually connects really well with Silver's fifth theme, which is all about problem posing as a window into how students understand math.
Right, you mentioned that earlier. It's about seeing what's going on inside their heads.
Exactly. It's like when students create problems, they're showing us their thought process.
So it's not just about the final product, the problem itself.
Right. It's about the journey they took to get there.
I see, I see.
They're taking their understanding of a concept and turning it into something we can see, something tangible.
Okay, that makes sense. So what can teachers learn from this?
Oh, a lot. By looking at the kinds of problems students create, teachers can see where they're excelling, what they're struggling with, maybe even spot some misconceptions they have.
So it's like a diagnostic tool. You can see how they're thinking, not just what they know.
It's a much better way to see what they really understand, more than just a test or a quiz.
It lets them be more creative, and it gives the teacher so much more information.
Exactly. And speaking of information, that brings us to Silver's final theme, which is all about improving students' dispositions toward mathematics.
Okay, dispositions. What does that mean exactly?
He was talking about students' attitudes, their beliefs, how they feel about math.
Oh, right. Because a lot of kids, they just see math as this boring subject, something they have to do, not something they enjoy.
Exactly. And Silver believed that problem posing could change that.
So by giving students the power to create their own problems, it changes their whole relationship with math.
It can, yeah. When they see math as something they can create, something they can explore, their whole perspective shifts.
It's not just about memorizing formulas anymore. It's about, using your imagination.
And that can be really empowering for students, especially those who maybe haven't had the best experiences with math in the past.
I bet. So it's not just about improving their skills, it's about changing how they feel about math.
Exactly. And that can have a huge impact on their learning and their overall success.
This has been such an amazing deep dive. I'm really starting to see the power of problem posing in a whole new light.
Me too. And remember, it's not just for mathematicians or even for students in a classroom. It's a valuable skill for anyone who wants to think more creatively, solve problems more effectively, and just engage with the world in a more curious way.
So as you go about your day today, pay attention to the world around you. What problems do you see? What questions come to mind? And what new problems can you pose? The power to unlock new possibilities, it's in your hands.
Happy problem posing, everyone. We'll see you on our next deep dive.